Hello and welcome to The Coming Conflict on May 4th, 2023. My name is Tom, of course, and it seems like the bank failure just keeps on coming. And it doesn't seem like anybody's too keen to be talking about it right now. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you to all you people who watch these videos. If you could, leave me a rumble, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'd really appreciate it. But now let's get into what it is we're talking about. It seems that we are on just the brink here, okay? In case you haven't heard, somebody, whether it be Ukraine or some CIA group or a false flag, I don't know, launched some drones at the Kremlin. They were apparently shot down. Now we're in a whole new realm of escalation as the Duma, the Russian Senate, I guess is the best comparison. People over there in the Duma are calling for basically nuclear retaliation, and they're calling it an assassination attempt on Putin. While that's going on, yesterday we had Fed Chairman Jerome Powell come out and say that the banking system is sound and resilient. And he chose to hike interest rates another 0.25%. Why did he do that? I don't know. If you watch the press conference, he basically said a whole hell of a lot of nothing. Didn't acknowledge the fact that these interest rate hikes are what is causing the banking collapses. And he just chose to raise rates again anyway. And within an hour, I want to say 20 minutes of him getting off that stage, boom, another one bites the dust. We have PacWest Bank, U.S. Bancorp, Western Alliance, all of them down something like 50%. They had the halt trading. I think PacWest is now in talks to try to sell themselves. It's Groundhog's Day all over again. The banks that have already failed, the big three banks that have already failed in the last several weeks, the total assets held by those banks that failed in the last several weeks are greater than all of the banks that failed in 2008. But somehow Jerome Powell has the balls to get up in front of everybody and say, everything is fine. Don't pay attention to this. And all of the little corporate media shills, now that Tucker is gone, made no mention of any of this. I have not seen one mainstream story about this ongoing banking collapse. It's not being addressed in an appropriate manner and not given the attention that it deserves. This is a serious problem. Now, I'm not telling you to go get your money out of the bank. I'm not doing that. I'm not trying to incite a bank run. People need to pay attention to this. This is a problem. I'm old enough to remember 2008 and how it was everything is fine. Everything is fine on a Friday. Then on a Monday, boom, Lehman Brothers gone. So it can happen just like that. And when whatever happens, it's going to be fine on a Friday, and it's not going to be fine on a Monday. So make sure you're keeping yourself prepared. Cash on hand, gold and silver, whatever works for you. Just make sure you have a way to take care of you and yours and to protect yourselves. Feed yourselves, because God Almighty, if this banking system goes down in the way that everybody seems to think it's going to be chaos in the streets. On top of all that, 48% of Americans are worried about their money safety in U.S. banks, more than during the peak of the 2008 crisis. But Powell says everything is fine. If Powell says everything is fine, then everything is fine. Don't worry about it. Don't trust your lying eyes. Don't trust your own personal experience. Just blindly follow the corporate press and the puppets from the Biden regime. Because if you don't, you're a racist and a bigot, and you want to incite a bank run. Right? That makes a lot of sense. Strangely, though, as the stock market and the banking system is collapsing, gold, depending on who you talk about, these charts are a little weird, but most people are saying that gold has just hit an all-time high. Some of these charts adjust for inflation, but gold has hit just about an all-time high. Right now, it's at 2062. Silver is getting up there, not an all-time high, but it's getting high. It's, what do we see, 26.25. So if you bought silver and gold when this whole banking crisis started, like I had recommend, or like I had said that I was going to do, which I didn't, and I should have bought more. But if you had, you would have made some money because it's gone up quite a bit. I'm pretty sure at the beginning of this banking crisis, silver was about $17 an ounce. Now it's at 26. So again, just pay attention to these things. Pay attention to what's not being talked about. When you see these stories, or when you see people saying everything's fine, figure it out. Figure out what it is they're talking about. Figure out what they're saying is fine and why it might not be. You got to start reading between the lines. There's fewer and fewer people out there telling the truth. So the onus is on you to educate yourself. And on top of all that, the banking crisis, we also have the U.S. debt ceiling default that Janet Yellen and the corporate media are screaming on about. Oh, we only have till June 1st or we're going to default. We're not going to default, okay? It's called prioritization of payments. Same way, if you in your house were short on money one month, you say, okay, first I'm going to pay my rent, and then I'm going to pay all of my electric. I'll pay half of my cable. And then anything else that I can cut out, going to the movies, eating dinner, whatever, you get rid of those things. The same thing would happen here. If for some reason the debt limit does not get raised, the U.S., what they do is, okay, first we pay all of our obligations to bondholders. Boom. We have enough money to do that. We have enough money coming in to do that. Then from there, we say, okay, we need to make a cut here, a cut here, a cut here until we figure this situation out. But what the media is going to do is they're going to convince you that the United States is going to crumble into chaos if they don't raise the debt ceiling. It's a scare tactic, and they do this every single time this issue comes up to put pressure on the party in power to raise the debt ceiling so that they can continue on with their reckless spending. The plan put forward by Republicans right now to address the debt ceiling is being outright rejected by Biden and the Democrats in the Senate. And it doesn't even really cut spending. It just slows the rate of increase of spending. And somehow that's not good enough. So it seems to me like Biden is going to purposely force a government shutdown to try to put this on the Republicans. Then, as that happens, they're going to let more banks fail. And they're going to really let this thing run loose and start collapsing. So they can put it onto the laps of MAGA, onto the laps of the Republicans, onto the laps of the populace and the people, blame it all on us, and they'll get their CBDC dystopian fantasy. That's what I think is going to happen. Biden is going to purposely let the government shut down, not raise the debt ceiling, and then more banks are going to collapse separately, and the media is going to combine the two issues, blame it on Republicans, blame it on the MAGA extremists, and things are going to get a lot more crazy. And that's why they took Tucker Carlson down. They got to get rid of the kulaks. They're coming for us. We're next on the menu for the regime. So it's very important to remember, in the information war, knowledge is power, but awareness is victory. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please remember, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, post this on Twitter. I would really appreciate it. You guys have a great day. God bless.